Hey all, I've got a crazy quick guide for everything you need to know about follower dungeons coming in patch 10.2.5. If you guys haven't heard, follower dungeons are normal Dragonflight dungeons where you can queue for any role you want and have 4 other NPC companions help you throughout the dungeon and guide you through them. From everything I've seen and tested, it's a fantastic addition to WoW, especially for new players, and really does a great job teaching you the new dungeons. I can see this going really far and would honestly love to be able to do these dungeons with my alts in the future, where you'd play one of your characters and the others would turn into the NPCs. It would be great for gearing all of your fresh alts at the same time. I'd also like to be able to do this with heroic dungeons and maybe mythic zeros for gearing purposes. That would be fantastic. Might just be me dreaming though, but we'll see. What do you guys think? Do you think those are good ideas? Let's get into the guide. Queue up for a follower dungeon or to get into one, you're just gonna have to flip your group finder. So as you can see on the bottom right of my screen here, it's the little eye icon if you're using the default UI, or it's usually key binding to I as well. You'll put a group finder here, same place as if you've done, heroic dungeons, time walking dungeons. Over here on the left, you'll see dungeon finder, raid finder, and pre-made groups. It'll be under dungeon finder, and there'll be a new little section here called follower dungeons. Then you can select whatever role you want, so tank, heal, or DPS, and then you can select whatever dungeons you want to do. Or you can select all of them if you'd like. It doesn't really matter. And then you'll find group. So it doesn't really matter what role you pick. It's a really fast queue. It only takes a few seconds for it to pop up. And for you to enter, you can also leave queue with no penalty, and you can do that over and over and over again, which is really nice. As for loot for these dungeons, so they drop at normal level on all of the Dragonflight dungeons. So it's at 421 gear, Explorer gear. So not heroic or mythic or anything like that, but this is honestly a really great way to gear fresh level 70s or alts really quickly on your own in your own free time, which is pretty fantastic. I don't see this increasing in eye level until 10.3. Till they increase the eye level cap anyways. But honestly, this is, like I said, this is a great way to gear fresh level 70s. If you don't have a group for mythic zeros, you're not being into mythics or anything like that, or you're not geared enough to do raid finder, this will get your raid finder ready pretty much. If you do these, upgrade them a couple pieces here and there, you can jump into raid finder for the newest raid. Once you get into a dungeon, they are pretty straightforward and linear, so not too difficult to navigate through. But if you're new to the game or the dungeons themselves, Blizzard has added a new dungeon assistance tool that you can toggle on or off. If you turn this on, this will allow someone in your group to take charge and guide you through the dungeon, even if you're not the tank. If you've queued as the tank, DPS will tell you where to go and even start the pulls for you. If you've queued as a DPS or healer, the tank will be the one to guide you throughout. They do a pretty good job with pulling and pathing from what I've seen, and will even mount up if you need to go a pretty far direction, although they will sometimes unmount, stand there for a few seconds, and then remount randomly and going in a different direction, at least a few times. I'm not sure if this is a glitch or not, but it is pretty funny. I think you just give them a second and then they'll refocus or go in the right direction. They also pull very small typically, which isn't a bad thing if you're new or learning, but what I have tested is you can pull as much as you want. Like, you can go crazy even if you have the assistance tool like off and you're not the tank will grab aggro from whatever you pulled, so that's pretty cool. There's also no timer in these dungeons, so you can stop at any point if you need to do something and come back when you can. Your followers will also talk throughout the dungeons. They'll even give you like little tips to deal with certain mechanics or what you need to do to get to a different section. Like in Algothar Academy, for instance, your follower NPCs will tell you to use the wind to jump across the platforms to go to the next section. For DPS and healing, it's pretty good, honestly. It's by no means like great or insane, but you blow through the mobs pretty quick in terms of DPS, and even if you pull pretty crazy, like an insane amount, your healing companion does a great job keeping everyone alive. Honestly, no complaints in that area. As for interrupting and mechanics, the followers do a pretty good job with mechanics, even better than me at some points, which is pretty funny and embarrassing. But they interrupt sometimes. It's by no means often, and it's not a priority to them at all. I don't think this is a big deal in any way, shape, or form, really, since the dungeons are pretty easy, but just wanted to let you know if they do plan on increasing the difficulty, like adding this into heroic dungeons or maybe mythic zeros, then I'm assuming that part of that interrupting mechanics, maybe even DPS would increase as well or do better. Doing objectives inside the dungeons, like let's for instance Brackenhide. If you've done Brackenhide Hollow before, there's little cages you have to open up. You have to open up a few of them to get to the next boss. They won't do that for you at all. You have to be the one that does the objectives, physically do the objectives. so you'll have to be the one to interact and open the cages, and same goes for any other similar objectives in any of the dungeons. It's possible that this might change in the future, but I doubt it. Since I think the goal of these follower dungeons is to learn the dungeons themselves, learn about the objectives, so you can probably go out and do, you know, Mythic Plus in the future, Mythic Zeros, Heroic, something like that. That's basically everything you need to know about follower dungeons. Pretty straightforward and easy new activity to do. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. I've got future class guides coming for a bunch of different specs, tip videos, beginner guides to WoW, and some other MMO stuff planned for this year. If that interests you, then hit that sub button. If you ever have any questions about anything, hit me up on Twitter. I also stream on Twitch, so you're welcome to ask any questions on there or hang out if you want to. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.